Aikatsu has a long 10-year history, and with that comes a lot of fun trivia. So let's explore the Aikatsu Iceberg. I made this with some help from the community, so I'd like to thank all of you. Spoiler warnings will be provided, and sources are in the description. With that said, let's dive deep into the Aikatsu Iceberg. Layer 1, Trainee. Singers and Seiyu. From Aikatsu Season 1 to the end of Stars, performing characters had two separate voice actresses, one for singing and one for speaking. The singing voices were provided by various idol groups, who often covered multiple roles. In fact, throughout the entire franchise, only 3 characters have unique singing voices, those being Ichigo, Mizuki, and Yume. Beyond this, the singers didn't always know what their characters would sound like, so it's a miracle it worked out as well as it did. Mio x Pen. Aikatsu Friends featured a bizarre interspecies romance between Minato Mio and Yuki Aina's penguin, Pen. The gag is played for laughs throughout the series, with my favorite being the wedding sequence from episode 53. National Tour Idols. The 4th year of the Aikatsu Arcade was focused on a national tour of Japan. This introduces us to lots of new idols, namely Nono, Risa, Yayoi, and Nina. If you've watched the anime, you might recognize them, but there's 2 more from the arcade, Hazuki Aranada from Tokushima in the Naruto Wave Chord, and Monika Kiki from Honolulu, Hawaii in the Flower Local Girl Chord. Quite the name. Despite Hazuki getting a voice actress, she never appeared in the anime and neither did Monika. Aikatsu System. The Aikatsu system is the technology used to facilitate the Aikatsu performances. We've seen a few peeks behind it, but it largely remains a mystery. My theory is that it works like Solid Vision from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, where holograms are imbued with mass. The appeals seem to be physical acts, as are the visual effects. We do know that it's all holograms though, as seen in episode 83 and Stars episode 30. Aikatsu Planet took this to a whole new level, with a system combining virtual reality and artificial life. Opening performances. During the 2nd season, Aikatsu introduced constellation dresses based on the 12 zodiac signs. Whenever they wore these in the anime, there was a brief opening performance based on the zodiac sign. While the anime stopped there, within the arcade, opening performances lasted into the 3rd year. There's one for each fairy tale. I understand they may have been cut for time or budget, but it's a shame that most people have never seen these. Studio switch. Aikatsu's anime was initially handled by Sunrise Studios. However, during the 3rd season, the anime switched from Studio Sunrise to a subsidiary, Bandai Namco Pictures. I really like this switch. It gave the characters a stockier build that suits their rigorous activity. Overall, the show looked cleaner too. Ichigo's Year Abroad. Minor spoilers for Season 1. At the end of the 1st season, Ichigo travels abroad to America. While the anime doesn't cover what happens, the info is available. I'd recommend Idol Kiwi's deep dive on Ichigo for a full explanation of her time there. She went to SeaWorld, joined a gospel choir, and lots of other fun stuff. Moe and Tsunao. Moe and Tsunao are former members of the idol group Star Anise. They both graduated early on, leaving us starved for their vocals. Moe had a really haunting tone that suited Yurika. Tsunao was pretty good too. Her sultry mix of falsetto and chest voice worked really well for her characters. Her solo duets are especially impressive, those being Kirapata Shining and Dancing Baby. I go into more depth on them in my vocal diary series. Sumida's Fall. Spoilers for Aikatsu Season 4. During the Starlight Queen Cup, Sumida, an otherwise competent idol, suffered a fall before her appeal. This was not the first fall in the franchise, but it was unexpected. Sumida's a talented idol, and out of all the characters, her failure was the least likely. Considering it never happened again, barring the edge case in Stars, it left a pretty bad impression. To make matters worse, during the live airing, an update on a murder case appeared on screen. This was a major incident that even director Kimura was pissed off about. It was the perfect mix of bad timing to really screw over this character. Commercial auditions. During Season 4 of Aikatsu, a new type of audition was introduced. In addition to song, fashion, and drama auditions, commercial auditions allowed idols to show off products such as lipstick. Campaign girls did exist in the anime, but commercial auditions were fully integrated into the arcade during the 4th series. Anime viewers may remember the jewelry audition in episode 155 and the toy audition in episode 163. It's a shame these never came back. Missing jeweling dresses. Minor spoilers for Aikatsu Friends Season 2. In the 2nd season of Friends, the girls received new cords known as jeweling dresses. Since the anime was cut short, We only got to see 7, Ruby, Sapphire, and Diamond in Part 1, Garnet, Emerald, and Aquamarine in Part 2, and Topaz appearing alone in Part 3. However, initial commercials show a golden frame with 12. The extra jewels were silently removed from Part 2's commercials onward. The 2 circular ones at the top are likely reflect moons, and maybe the unnamed outfits they wore in Parade. The yellow triangle and purple obelisk are likely Honeycat's jewels, and maybe these unnamed outfits. The final jewel down the middle is a mystery, but it may have belonged to Wakaba's friend partner. The 12 jewels would likely have spanned 4 parts, with the all-jeweling dresses coming in Part 5. It would have looked drastically different if it had all 12 jewels. It's also a mystery why the senior friends are paired together, while Honeycat and Pure Palette are grouped in trios. I guess we'll never really know what the plan was. Idol activity on Parade. This is another one we know about thanks to commercials. In the earliest trailer for Aikatsu on Parade, Ichigo is seen performing Idol activity on Parade version. This never happened in the anime, with her solo instead being admired customization. I really liked this stage and effect, so it's a shame we'll never get to see it. I hope this is eventually released by someone working on the show. Dress Aura. During the 3rd year of the arcade, the new story system gave each PR a unique aura for its story. These were not included in the anime, but are featured in official art. They're all really cool, but viewers might not know about them. Here are my personal favorites. There's also a lot of auras from Friends Season 1 that never appeared in the anime, mainly the miracle auras from the latter half. So with all that covered, let's move on to Layer 2. Hashimoto Kanna. During the first 3 years of Aikatsu, each series had a different idol collaborate with the franchise for cross-promotion. In the first year it was Itano Tomomi, during the second Shimazaki Haruka, and during the third Hashimoto Kanna. She would return for the 4th series as well, and be the last idol collaborator. Real-life designers. Aikatsu designer characters are usually inspired by real-life designers. Amehane Asuka is inspired by Asuka from Angelic Pretty, Yumekoji Maya is inspired by Mana from Mame Motie, and Kamishiro Rei is inspired by Kawakubo Rei. These insights were made by Idol Kiwi, who I give full credit for this one. Baby Pirates. During the first year of Aikatsu Friends, the unit Baby Pirates was added to both the arcade and the anime. Both characters were voiced and received both a brand and PRs. Despite this, they never received any songs and were seemingly dropped from the main cast. Even when looking at the cancelled jewels, there's no room for them. Why did they bother making these characters at all? I guess we'll never know. Next Generation Girls. During the 2nd season of the anime, Ichigo, our main character, meets Akari, who is a young fan of hers. Following her debut, Akari becomes Ichigo's protege before becoming the main character of Season 3. In Aikatsu Stars Season 2, a similar dynamic is hinted at during episode 65, when Yuma and Laura meet younger fans who look up to both of them. These girls were speculated to be the 3rd season's main cast, but that 3rd season never happened. A similar dynamic is seen in Aikatsu on Parade's finale, with Kokoro Kojima, who looks up to Raki and even gets her own ribbon. By this point, no one expected her to come back, so it felt more like a series trademark. The shining line between generations was a major theme early on, so it's likely this influenced the trend. Recycled dress parts. Throughout the arcade, there's been several dresses with similar designs. While I can't confirm if the parts were actually recycled, there are some eerie similarities. Doki Doki Mode. This is a personal entry. I just find it fascinating that both Yuma and Yuzu sing this one line of heart skips with completely different emphasis. If you want more trivia, I guess it's interesting that it's the 2nd time a pop solo was taken from a pop character and instead given to the MC. Brand mascots. Throughout the series, various brands have featured brand mascots, some popular and some unknown. Let's go over them. There's Angel Bear, Dreamy Puppy, and Gothic Bunny from the original, and there's also non-brand mascots like Ebipon, Potepo, Akumadori, Chris, Alon, this unnamed bat, Jalapi, Palm, Elizabeth III, and Ozarota. In Aikatsu Stars, we have Little Bunny, Miss Romance, Spicy Teddy, Shiny Cat, Fua Fua Mary, and Sweetie Berry. I actually forgot that Friends did this too, but they had Conil, Chamois, Palpette, and Hirel. As you can see, we've got some winners and the rest. Miku collab. During the 2016 series, Aikatsu collaborated with Hatsune Miku. The Hatsune Miku chord was also added to the arcade. Yurika's popularity. In the third part of the arcade, a gothic girl made her debut, and history was made. Yurika's popularity was massive. To date, her solo of Glass Doll still has the highest view count on the YouTube channel. Yurika's popularity was a major surprise to the staff. According to interviews, they were aware that gothic Lolita fashion was popular, but didn't know she would make such an impact. She's also described as a character who can stand out with just a line of dialogue. She's a fan favorite and deserves all the blood in the world. Wizard of Oz logo. For some reason, the Wizard of Oz logo is different within the games and the anime. The game logo features a hot air balloon, but the anime features a road and a rainbow. What an odd and specific change to me. Love ban. At least at the start of Aikatsu, love was banned for idols. The ban seemed to be lifted following the AKB48 dating scandal. In episode 11, Ran states that love is forbidden for idols. This aired on December 17, 2012. In February 2013, the AKB48 dating scandal blew up, as Minami Minagishi shaved her head following a paparazzi image of her leaving Alan Shirahama's house. Following this, on November 27, 2013, Orihime states that idols have a right to love. It's an interesting display of how AKB48 and real idol culture influenced the Aikatsu anime. Ripoff. Aikatsu and the Pretty series have a long rivalry as children's idol anime. Pretty Rhythm came first in 2011, with Aikatsu following in 2012. Throughout their runs, there's been a lot of suspicious similarities. The first few brand appeals of Aikatsu strongly resemble early Prism jumps. In 2014, Pretty Rhythm rebranded as Prepara, which abandoned Prism skating to lean into the idol concept. This was referred to by the Bandai CEO as a blatant copy of Aikatsu. In Season 2 of Prepara, an androgynous prince with silver hair and royal brand would make her debut. In Aikatsu Star's second season, an androgynous woman with white hair and a royal brand would also make her debut. Aikatsu Friends Season 2 had jeweling dresses, and coincidentally, Pre-Chan Season 2 had jewel dresses. Aikatsu Planet got rid of types and gave the cards life in the form of Dressia. The very same year, Primagi introduced coordinates. The cards are alive here too. The series have a lot more similarities, and considering the timelines, it's hard to know if anyone copied anyone or if this was just a big coincidence. The second ripoff I'd like to cover is Shining Star. Shining Star has been called a ripoff of Aikatsu by lots of fans, but I haven't seen too much evidence. Personally, I couldn't get into the show. It's a very hard watch, but if you've watched the show, please feel free to let everyone in the comments know how much of a ripoff it was of Aikatsu. Mia Regina. Mia Regina is an idol unit made up of Waka, Furi, and Risco, who sang for Ichigo, Aoi, and Mizuki. The trio actually released a cover of Stardom that's pretty good. Beyond this trio, a lot of other singers have gone on to join different idol units. There's a lot of niche music info that I'm not well versed in, so I'm just gonna leave some of the names on screen, and I guarantee you there's a rabbit hole for each idol that has worked on this franchise. Love Live collaboration. Aikatsu recently collaborated with Love Live's Harunosora generation, who were featured in their own tort and parade chords. They also sang covers of Diamond Happy and Lucky Train. With that, we've completed the rookie layer and will now move on to... This layer starts out a bit heavy, so feel free to skip this one point. Hidekazu Tanaka was a prolific Japanese composer who worked on a lot of Aikatsu's music. I also recognize his name from a lot of Japanese Pokemon openings. However, in 2023, he was found guilty of indecent exposure, admitted to voyeurism, and confessed to attempts to have relations with a 15-year-old girl. There's a lot more info available, so I'll stop there, but his name was subsequently removed from a lot of credits. It's also possible that his arrest led to changes and the delay of the Kira Kira Luminary album. This is quite negligible in the grand scheme of things, but it is how a lot of people in the fandom learned of his arrest. I hope his victims find peace in their lives. Haruno and Tsukushi. These are the original names of who we now know as Ichigo and Aoi. They were initially referred to as Haru no Ichigo and Tsukushi Nesan. Singing mistakes. Considering all that goes into producing an Aikatsu episode, there's bound to be some mishaps in the pipeline. The biggest one comes from episode 171. During a performance of Friend by Madoka and Rin, their voices are completely switched. This might be the biggest, but I found another that's more debatable. During the song Stranger Alien, sung by Aoi and Ki, Yuna, who voices Kaede in Ki, accidentally breaks character and switches into Kaede's voice during Ki's song. It's pretty obvious, but I break it down better in Vocal Diary. Datekaya's channel. During Aikatsu Planet's run, Datekaya, the idol portraying Mao, was allowed to use the official Aikatsu channel as her own YouTube channel. The videos are still up if you're interested in checking that out. Original PV. The original preview on the Aikatsu channel was made entirely in CG, and it looks pretty off. The dark background, the vacant faces, it's bizarre. Dream Girl song. You just can't seem to catch a break. Between losing her roommate role and her constant shipping off to other schools, it felt like we'd never get to hear her sing. That's until fan voting got her in the unit Dream Girls for Aikatsu Photo on Stage. The members of this unit are the runner-ups for Photokatsu 8. While they did receive a song, only half of them were featured. It's a real shame that you never got a singing voice. Denpa Gumi was involved in one of the earliest songs for the background character Goopy, specifically Summer Summer Vacation for the character Goopy. Cultural appropriation. The series has a history of flattening other cultures in their fashion. The most egregious example is Soda's brand and character. She's a girl from Morocco, and her brand pulls from numerous cultures outside North Africa with a song that's vaguely South Asian. It's quite the hodgepodge of other cultures. Scrapped brands and products. At the start of the anime, there's several brands with pretty elaborate logos that we just don't see later on. Based on their appearance, they seem to be early versions of Magical Toy, seen here as Alden Barn, Aurora Fantasy, seen as Northern Mermaid, and Love Queen, seen as Halbmond. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, so we're just gonna leave it in. This is based on their similarities to each character's theme, but I am open to other interpretations. There's also a scrapped bag from Aikatsu stars that terrorized me for most years in fandom. I always thought this was proof of Season 3, but it's not, so I need to know what exactly is this bag. If anyone knows, feel free to let me know. Sunrise Pose. The sunrise stance refers to this pose, seen in most of Sunrise's work. It originates from Yushek X Kaiser. Within Aikatsu, this is referenced several times, primarily through the axe poses. Yuna Budokan incident. While it's not specified which song, we are aware based on radio shows on YouTube that Yuna was excluded from the choreography of a specific performance during the Budokan performance. There's a bunch of rumors about the singers that I couldn't quite source, so take these with a grain of salt. It's also speculated that Mona's departure from the group was based on internal conflict, but once again, there's no source for these, so we're gonna move on. Ako and Koharu. Ako and Koharu are two characters from Stars who were pretty neglected in terms of game content. They didn't get brands or SPRs, and this let down a lot of their fans. During Aikatsu Star's development, these two characters were suggested by the anime and added to the project. This might explain why they didn't get as much game content. There is another reason that I speculate is true, but that's further down the iceberg. Pretty serious collaboration. The two rivals finally collaborated on stage during the Dream Collaboration Festival. There's clips of this on YouTube, so be sure to check it out. With all that covered, I think it's time to move on to Sumire is a vampire. Let's start this one with the theory that Sumire is a vampire. In episode 122, Akari and her friends gather to watch a TV drama on vampires. Within the drama, Akari plays a girl trying to cure her friends of vampirism. But once it's over, we see that the real Sumire's sharp fang is still sticking out. It was probably just a gag to end the episode on, but it's fun to imagine that she is a vampire. There's similar theories on Utica, which you can find online. Aikatsu on Parade was unplanned. Considering the abrupt end of Aikatsu Friends, there's a fandom sentiment that Parade was an unplanned project. Between the art style and the mass of recycled content, it may have been a cheap but feasible cash cow at the time, and I speculate that's what happened. We'll never really know, but considering how abruptly the Jewel series ended, it is possible. Shizune Nagao's Dressia. Shizune Nagao, the actress behind Umekoji Kyoko, actually got to design and voice her own Dressia. This Dressia is polite black pole, as seen here. The blonde hair debate. During Aikatsu's early development, there was a focus on realistic design. This caused opposition towards Ichigo's blonde hair, considering it's pretty out there for a Japanese character. Aikatsu was aimed at a slightly older audience than Precure, by which I mean around the ages of 6 to 8, so it makes sense that they wanted a touch of realism in their character design. However, eventually they stuck to the golden hair. Missing appeals. During Aikatsu on Parade, new appeals were created for the new crossover units. Since these units never debuted in the anime, we never got to see those appeals, but they do exist in the arcade. Audience equals camera. In early staff interviews, it was explained that the camera angles on stage were meant to mimic the audience's perspective of the idols. While this certainly didn't last, it does apply to some of the earlier stages. Aikatsu Planet TCG Conspiracy. This is a fandom theory that Aikatsu Planet was a scrapped TCG repurposed with Aikatsu's name. It was a pretty jarring shift, so I'm inclined to entertain it. The cards in Aikatsu Planet remind me of card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! With all the card effects that help during battle. The naming conventions of the Dressia also remind me of card archetypes. This would make a lot more sense in a battle TCG. We'll never really know, but maybe it was a scrapped TCG product. Venus Arc is Belle Rose. Venus Arc from Aikatsu Star Season 2 shares a few similarities in tropes to Belle Rose from Pretty Rhythm Rainbow Live. They're both led by a talented redhead with mommy issues, feature a character based on an animal, and a third girl dedicated to the redhead. Rei is a little iffy, but she's quite similar to Hibiki Shikuin in terms of appearance. Overall, Venus Arc's main trio pulls from tropes first seen prominently in the Pretty series, Dressia Society and Powers. While working on my Aikatsu fashion reviews, Planet presented a real challenge. Dressia Society resembles the animal kingdom in that there's different Dressia species within the same Dressia family that can also fit into different attributes. They each have a dedicated habitat within the Dressia forest, but they also interact in social gatherings as seen at the tea party. Dressia can interact with objects through minor telekinesis, considering they all lack arms but seem to use cups and cutlery just fine. Despite their primary function in the story being to decorate plain dresses, they're seemingly capable of decorating anything, as seen in episode 11 with Anne's cake. On the Dressia's origin, it's mentioned that they've existed for the same time that Planet has, but can exist outside Planet in the form of swings. In episode 22, we also see that Dressia can manifest their power outside of Aikatsu Planet. I'd love to learn more about the Dressia, since they seem to be the most realized aspect of the world. Kurokawa Rei was a woman. This was pointed out on Idol Kiwi's channel, but Kurokawa Rei is likely a reference to the real-life Kawakubo Rei, who is a female designer. Additionally, Aoi refers to featuring Ko's designer as a woman when she gets her first PR. Furthermore, the silhouette completely changes between seasons. For these reasons, it's quite possible that Kurokawa Rei was initially designed as an older woman. Noelle Season 4 Conspiracy. We've talked about the national tour idols at the start, but what about Dream Academy? They were pretty prominent in the second season, but weren't seen much after. This left Noelle, who'd been growing all season, to fester in the background until Aikatsu on Parade Dream Story. It's quite odd that she'd get focused this late, so some fans speculate that she was really meant to debut in Season 3 or 4. My Starway Demo. There exists a demo version of My Starway, the song from Starway to the Future. Its singer is unidentified, but it's interesting that this song made its way online. Initially, this iceberg had 5 layers, but I missed so much that I had to dedicate a whole layer to all of that. If I missed something that you sent me, please don't take it personally and share it with fans in the comments. I tried to get as much as I could and prioritized info with easy and accessible sources. So this is basically a quick trivia round for this specific layer. Dress concept art. Dress concept art exists for a lot of Aikatsu designs, mainly in the form of the fan books as well as online images. Indonesian import. Aikatsu is available to play in Indonesia with dubbed songs and a dubbed anime to match. A lot of the game footage and episodes are available online, so feel free to check them out. Kato catchphrases. Yuichi Kato, the main screenwriter for the original series, actually came up with a lot of the characters' catchphrases, missing Furokatsu songs. During Photo on Stage's run, there was a poll to determine which duo of characters would get a song together. While Yurika and Taida won, it's quite possible that songs exist for the other duos. Planet episode titles. Each episode title of Aikatsu Planet is a song reference. Here's a few examples on screen, but you can definitely find more on the wiki. 60,000 audience members. This is the exact number of CGI humans at Ichigo's movie concert. There's about 36 human models with up to 20 different move animations. I feel a little unhinged for knowing this, but I just had to share it. Aria replaced Carol Alice. Early into the second season of Stars, we're introduced to Carol Alice. She's a calm blonde girl who gets kicked out of Venus Arc and joins 4-Star Academy. Given her plot significance, it feels odd that she never received her own brand. While she's canonically a sexy type, I think she would have been a great fit for Hime's brand, My Little Heart, and a better fit than the latecomer Aria, who changed the entire brand image. There's not much evidence for this one, so feel free to ignore it. Starlight Academy dorm room floor plan. This is another one I feel kind of unhinged for knowing, but there is a floor plan of the Starlight Academy dorm rooms by the very person that designed them. I hope all 3 people that care about this enjoy the effort I took to find it. With all that said, it's finally time to cover the deepest layer. Secret PRs and story dresses. While the story system wrapped up in Season 3 of the anime, there's actually a few more in Aikatsu Photo on Stage. These are all great designs that benefit from being 2D illustrations rather than conforming to the limits of the 3D game models. I never got to play this game, and that is my personal tragedy. In addition to these, there's also unique constellation dresses in the 3DS games. Aikatsu Star Season 2 was unplanned. Spoiler warning for Season 1. Staff interviews revealed that initially, Aikatsu Stars was planned for a 1-season run, and that they weren't exactly expecting a second one. This would explain a lot of the developments within the story, between the cast becoming S4 in their first year, to the limited number of brands, and even the large cast that was criminally underused. We're gonna cover a bit more Stars trivia, so let's move on to Lily replaced Haruka Ruka. Based on her prominence in the anime and arcade, it's clear that Ruka was intended to have a greater role in Aikatsu Stars. Initially, I theorized that Ako took her place as the series' pop type, considering her creation by the anime staff, but no, staff interviews confirmed that it was actually Lily who took Ruka's place in the cast. Shirogane Lily was created much later than the other girls, and that definitely shows. She is the 4th character in Song Class, with her own special Gothic brand, despite the fact that only S4 can have their own brands. She also has the latest character debut, performing after all the main characters and S4. Let's keep this Stars trivia going with the cancelled Rainbow Aura arc. Aikatsu Stars episode 30 is one of the most infamous for its shocking finale. After relying on her mysterious rainbow power all season, Yuma's luck runs out during a farewell performance for her best friend. According to staff interviews, the Rainbow Aura was included as a dramatic element to add mystery. However, the peak in episode 30 was initially meant to be a 4-episode arc. However, it was seen as too dark for a girls' show and subsequently condensed into 1 episode. Let's round this out with some more Stars trivia regarding Tamagoro Miwa. In Aikatsu Stars episode 27, the girls are looking at past S4 members when they see a girl quite similar to Tamagoro Miwa. While it's played for laughs, it's quite possible that Miwa excelled in beauty class, became an S4, and transitioned in adulthood before returning to 4-Star to teach. This would make him one of the most qualified teachers alongside Anna, who was also in S4, M4's song. Initially, M4 wasn't planned to have a song, but following requests from the voice actors, they received Your Miracle. I think it's a better world now that this song exists. Dudification. This is what I refer to as the Flanderization of Duty's character in Aikatsu Planet. This refers to the extreme exaggeration of a character's trait to the point that it begins to define them. For Rudy, it's the fact that she was a party girl or excitable. I feel like they really pushed that, especially in episode 7 when they had her seem really dumb in front of that film committee. It was very embarrassing because I thought she was such a fun character, but they kinda ruined her. She's introduced as an excitable model with lots of experience, but as the show goes on, she gets dumber and dumber. A similar Flanderization can be seen with Sagawa, who gets more and more flamboyant as the season goes on. I feel like if Planet had kept going, eventually they'd both be cartoonishly campy characters, and I think it's good that we didn't get to see that. Mitsuishi equals Mitsubishi. This is such a fun theory, so thank you to my for explaining that to me. Mitsuishi Orihime is the principal of Starlight Academy, and her father's name is Yotaro. This may be a reference to the fact that in real life, Yotaro Iwasaki is the founder of Mitsubishi. Additionally, there is a famous Mitsubishi heiress who founded an orphanage school in Japan, kind of like this Mitsubishi heiress who runs a school in Japan. It just feels like a fun little reference. Masquerade is Pink Lady. This is a theory I first heard from a deleted channel, so I couldn't reach out for more info. The most I can gather is they're both famous duos. Mia sounds like Mia, and there's potential parallels in their disbandment. Any info on this one is appreciated. Perfume MV. In season 2 of Aikatsu, Aoi makes a music video for the song Stranger Alien. This video feels pretty inspired by Perfume's Electro World and was likely an intentional reference. The cybernetic runway, trio formation, and digital elements feel directly pulled from the MV. There's also more info about this in Idol Kiwi's video on Futuring Girl, Hot Men Wanted. During the second season's development, there was a push for more attractive male characters. This likely led to the development of Sana Tsubasa and potentially explains why Kurokawa Rei, who was initially an older female character, was eventually turned into a younger male one. The final point on this iceberg is my personal ramble on Aikatsu Planet. In episode 4, Beat explains that people in Planet can change their physical age and perceived gender. While it's not clear how far-reaching these effects are, it is a possible case study for how anti-aging software can be used to extend human life. While I know it's all digital avatars, it's interesting to think about how much further this concept could have been pushed. Think about it, Planet is clearly a real place and it can have effects on the real world. So it's not clear how far exactly you could go with this technology. Could Planet eventually be the beacon for human immortality? We will never know because the show was not interested in that, and honestly, I put this one here for me. If you enjoyed this iceberg, be sure to let me know, and don't feel shy about adding your own trivia in the comments. With that said, I will see you guys next time. Big thank you to my current patrons whose names are on screen. Be sure to check the Patreon out because they get videos early, ad-free, and without any of the copyright cuts that I usually have to do for YouTube. It's a very fun place to hang out, so be sure to check that out. Goodbye.